Good morning, students, and welcome back to the Social Science 2, that is economic class for this session 2020 and 21. Children, as we have started with the first chapter of economics, which is the story of village Palampur, where the village Palampur is an imaginary village, a hypothetical village, and we have seen so far in this village that farming is the main activity of this village. Then there are several other activities such as small scale manufacturing, dairy, transport, etc. Third thing is the production activities need various types of resources, which are natural resources, man made resources, money, and human efforts, etc. Then, children, we got to know that Palampur was a well developed village. How? We saw so many signs that Palampur was well connected with neighboring villages. Then, Raniganj is just 3 kilometers away from Palampur. The roads were all weather roads. All weather roads are, roads which are easy to be accessed into all weather situations, be it rainy season, be it summer season, any other season. These roads were well connected. Then, children, we saw that Palampur village had two primary schools, then one dispensary, and one municipal healthcare center which was run by the government. Then it was developed, it was known to be developed village again because we saw so many transportation vehicles, bullock carts, motorcycles, jeeps, tractors, etc. Now, after knowing about the village Palampur, we saw that electricity in Palampur was also there. People were well advanced. They were knowing the usage of electricity. Because of electricity, the farmers of the village were using tube wells in the field. Then Palampur was advanced in terms of education also, where we discussed two schools, primary, one high school. Then government was running one private dispensary. So all these signs were telling that Palampur is a well developed village. After this, children, we learned that organization of production, organization where simply association of different factors which are leading to production in Palampur, which was land, labor, capital. Children, we discussed how important land is. Firstly, land is fixed in Palampur. Children, we all know that 75% of the people who are working are dependent on farming in the village Palampur for their livelihood. These could be farmers or farm laborers. Farmers are simply owning their own land and farming. Farm laborers are just working into some others' farm. After that, children, land area under cultivation was fixed. No other scope to bring in more cultivation land was possible. Then they tried to bring in wasteland for cultivation. Then ultimately there exists no further scope to increase the land for production by bringing in new area for cultivation. Then one important thing we discussed, children, that the measuring unit of land in Palampur is hectare. After that, children, we discuss that are there different ways to grow more crops on the same piece of land, since the major activity of Palampur was farming. Then we discussed definitely yes, there are different ways to bring in more production, and that answer is multiple cropping. Multiple cropping, where from the word only you will get to know various types of crops which are being grown on the same piece of land. For example, children, we discussed that kharif crops during the rainy season were grown, like jowar and bajra. Then these plants were used as cattle feed, fodder, food for the cattle. Then, children, it allowed the cultivation of potatoes between October and December in winter season, which is Rabi. Then we saw production of wheat, children. Then we discussed that wheat was produced on a larger scale. Why? If you recall the last lesson, wheat was produced on a larger scale. Firstly, farmers were producing it for their consumption, and the surplus wheat, the extra amount of wheat which was produced, farmers were selling it in Raniganj. Then a part of the land area was also devoted to cultivation of one crop, children, the crop from which we get sugar. Yes, you got it right. It is sugarcane. Sugarcane is harvested every year in Palampur, and then sugarcane in the raw form of jaggery is being used for trading in Shahpur, that is the nearby village. Now, children, when we are seeing these different crops being grown on the same piece of land, that means land had been taken care of very, very nicely. Children, if you have one machine from which you are doing different work, for example, a hand blender making for used for making shakes, crushing ice, making smoothies, then whisking curd, different things you people are taking, different functions you people are taking from that one blender. That means you are taking good care of that blender. Similarly, when we are having multiple cropping from that same piece of land, then we need to be extra cautious for the protection and the caring of the taking care of that land. How? The big word which is being known as the inspiring word, something which you can guess. Yes, you guessed this right. That is green revolution. Do you think green revolution and Palampur have any connectivity? Yes, they have. On one hand, we are discussing that Palampur is well developed, farmers are well aware, farmers are well advanced, they are pro in using technology. Therefore, it is obvious that farmers are aware of green revolution. Now, children, the green revolution in 1960s was introduced to Indian farmers. Basically, it was initiated in 1950s. So, in between 1950s till 1960s, this revolution started emerging to be a boon for everybody, for the farmers, for farming industry, children, for farming sector. Green revolution is something, again, revolution, bringing in new change, something which you are changing. Green is referring to land then. So, green revolution refers to enormous growth and development in the field of agriculture. How? With the use of different pesticides, fertilizers, and new technology and new techniques. When we are putting in so many techniques, ultimately what we are doing, we are enhancing the strategy of farming. This is known as green revolution. Revolution, the time period in which farming sector brought in new changes with incorporation, with imbibing various different fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals to have enormous growth in the field of production. Now, children, the green revolution in the late 1960s was introduced to Indian farmers to cultivate wheat and for rice using high yielding varieties, HYS, high yielding variety seeds. So HYVS, high yielding variety seeds. These seeds are of very superior quality. Once the farmer sows them, the crop gets of better quality. So high yielding variety, a variety of seeds which is giving you high yield. Again, the name is holding the meaning in itself. Now, after using high yielding variety seeds, they promise to produce much greater amounts of grain on a single plant. With sowing these high yielding variety seeds, the same plant is giving much greater production comparatively to previous one. Therefore, as a result, children, same piece of land would now produce larger quantities of food grains than it was possible earlier. Earlier scenario we are discussing with today's time when we have adapted the time of green revolution. So, green revolution in itself is bringing higher production from the same unit of land with superior quality. I hope this much is clear to you. The last point we discussed was, can we have better production? Can we have more production from the same piece of land? Answer was yes, with different strategies. Now, we are knowing how it was green revolution. Now let us see farmers of Punjab and Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh children were first to try out the modern farming methods. I discussed it in the first class that the farmers of Punjab and Haryana are considered to be the most aware, most advanced farmers who are having much updated knowledge of bringing in better quality of production. So they are the first one to always try the modern strategies in the field of agriculture. In which country? India. Now, the farmers in these regions set up tube wells for irrigation. They make use of H5V seeds. Number third, fertilizers. Number 4, pesticides in farming. So, what for basic modernized techniques we discussed? Bringing in tube wells for irrigation. Number 2, H5V seeds, chemical fertilizers and pesticides. They were bringing in together these strategies to bring in high production from the same unit of land. Now, some of them bought farm machinery like threshers, then which made plowing easier than tractors, and then which made plowing and harvesting very easy and faster. Obviously, manual labor and work done by machines. There are two important things. You have to know the difference between them. Manual labor where man is working and getting the work done. Comparatively to, machine outputs. With one use of machine, children, you are getting the whole work done. Isn't it quick and fast way? Yes. So these farmers of Punjab and Haryana are always the first one to adapt these new modern technologies and strategies. After that they are obviously bringing in high rate of production. Then they are rewarded with one thing. See, the one thing which they are rewarded is they are putting in lot of effort into what one thing? High production. That is their reward. They are being rewarded with high yields of wheat and rice. So children, it can be related with everywhere in your daily life. For example, you are weak in one subject. Okay, you thought of, let me work hard into this subject so that I can get minimum passing marks. You just not worked hard, you have put in your more than 100%. You are learning, you are reading, you are practicing. What happens in the end? You are getting not just passing marks, you are coming out with flying colors, with huge and great marks. Similarly, when farmers are bringing in lot of efforts, when they are putting in lot of efforts, new strategies, new techniques, obviously the reward will be high yields of production. Now children, we have discussed two things associated with the usage of land. Firstly, more production and variety of production of crops. Secondly, adapting in the new strategy of farming, which is green revolution, which encompasses the usage of the pesticides, chemical fertilizers and new advanced techniques, H5V seeds. So we are firstly putting a lot of pressure on land through multiple cropping, isn't it? From one piece of land, we are not leaving that land spare. In one season we are growing potatoes, one season we are growing jowar and bajra, one season we are growing sugarcane. Aren't we putting a lot of pressure on land? Yes. Second, we are putting in lot of chemicals, fertilizers, lot of chemicals are being added on the land. Aren't we putting a threat? Aren't we putting a pressure on our land resource? Yes. Now the next question which comes to our mind is, will the land sustain? How? We are going to see the production also, increased production also, and the quality of the land to be maintained. Now let us see to this, that land being a natural resource, it is very necessary to be careful in its use, isn't it? It is a natural resource. Since we all know natural resources are going to be given by us, by land, by nature. We are not here to take undue advantage of Mother Nature. So land resource is a natural resource and we need to be very judicial and we need to be very cautious and careful in its utilization. So scientific reports have indicated that modern farming methods have increased the natural resource base overuse. Means the scientific reports, the new reports have been continuously arguing and stating that the farming methods which are new, which are modern, they have overused the natural resource which is land. And children, all the natural resources which we see are majorly plying on which one natural resource which is land. So the base of the natural resource which is land is being overused with what? Yes, your guess is right, is being overused with the introduction of, or with the basically utilization of modern farming strategies. Now what we have to do, what we need to think is taking care of land. How? See, in many areas green revolution is associated with loss of soil fertility due to increased use of chemical fertilizer. Children, I'll explain this with a very simple example. You must be thinking how soil fertility is being exhausted with the use of chemical fertilizers, when chemical fertilizers are good for growth of plants and production. How? Children, we all know that anything which is used excessively may cause damage. Say for example, your floors, your marble flooring, your tiles flooring, you need to clean it every day. But once you are not cleaning that one particular floor made of marble or tiles, you need to have some extra chemical applied over it to get it clean. Like these days we are seeing so many brands which are bringing in for floor cleaners, so and so. If I ask you, you pour more than the quantity required again and again on that same piece of flooring, won't you see the shine, the texture of that land is getting diminished? Of course, yes. That is the same thing with the land. Excessive use of these chemical fertilizers are ruining the quality of the soil. In simple words, to make you understand, the soil fertility of the land is being decreasing. Then it also continues the use of groundwater for tube well. Irrigation has reduced the water table. Again, excessive pressure over land which is bringing in the groundwater. Groundwater is just minimum in percentage, and we are utilizing that groundwater for purpose of irrigation. With tube wells, with more intensity, water is being dragged out. So aren't we putting pressure on this groundwater? Yes. Two things we have discussed. With the utilization of modern farming techniques and more production from same piece of land, we are exploiting the fertility of the soil, we are diminishing the quantity of the groundwater. Then after that we are it is also said that once destroyed, it is very difficult to restore the groundwater, because it takes so much of time in millions of years to get that assimilation of groundwater level back to its normal. Therefore we are deteriorating the quantity of groundwater. Therefore we must take care of the environment to ensure future development of agriculture. Children, if we are not taking care of our present resources, how are we going to get the benefits from these resources in future? Yes, that is the urge of today's time. Not just agriculture, not just in this subject, children, it is with us everywhere. In this time, it is the urge for everyone to save Mother Earth, to save our nature. Children, we have to be very cautious. We have to be wise enough to use our natural resources very wisely, so that we can get the benefits in our long run, in our future generations also. Our future generations should also get that benefit. Here comes the role of sustainable development, where we are maintaining the balance of utilization of these resources, plus we are conserving these resources for future time also. Now children, that is for today's class. By now we have discussed so far the strategies which we have brought together to increase the production in this class, and then we discuss what is the outcome of bringing in these modern strategies in agriculture. Then what is our role to play in today's time in balancing the utilization of modern techniques and taking care of our land resources. After this, in the next class, student, your